And I think as a leader, it's your job too to be a little bit vulnerable, right? Like you don't have to put this persona, which I did a lot of times in the beginning of saying like, oh, I'm the big boss and I'm okay and everything's okay. No, you can be a little vulnerable and say, guys, you know what?
We have a problem here.
We got a problem. How do we fix it? We got to come together, and people want to be part of something. And I've just seen our team. It's just everybody's come together. The culture, the energy is high. They understand, and now they understand, right? When I put these different documents together, there's actually something tangible that they understand. It's not just like, all right, this yearly plan.
Yep.
We want to build Alan 100 more units, and it's like it's way more than that at this point.
So you can buy his NBA team.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so much more than that, and that was the challenge as you go, especially getting people, because you do feel that way.
All right. So today on the New How podcast, we have Alan Borovich from Liberty Bell Management. Alan currently manages, owns, and has developed near 1,000 units here in the city of Philadelphia, which is quite impressive. Not many people have done that, Alan, which is awesome. But regardless of the apartments and development you've done here, I want to understand more, obviously, and the listeners want to understand who you are as an entrepreneur. What else do people need to know who Alan Borovich is today?
Oh, so that's a lot. Well, thank you for having me. Number one, good friend, somebody we've done a lot of business with, me and Brian, and he's helped me tremendously help create a lot of the units.
Built a few of those units for you.
So it's been a fun ride the last few years, and we've become friends. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said with building that kind of scale, and now you're running a business. It's not just, hey, let me just build a property or 2 or 3 or 4. Now you have systems, you have people. So it becomes a way bigger focus than just the development side. And there's a bunch of different nuances that you have to kind of think about. Same thing like in architecture. You got to think, hey, how is this going to work? So that's, go ahead.
Why business? So why become an entrepreneur? Why start your own business? Like, where did that come from in your early days?
So yeah, it's a good question. I could tell you the story. So I always tell this joke. Okay, I'm
laughing ahead of time.
What does a Jewish boy realize at his bar mitzvah?
You're a man, obviously.
You're a man, but it's probably going to be easier to own the team than play on the team.
All right, that's pretty good.
Okay, so
I've heard that before, but that's funny. That's awesome.
So I'm playing basketball, and I'm thinking that like I'm gonna go to the NBA as a kid.
Wait, but you played basketball?
I did. I played
high school, college.
I played high school. I went to college, which is a small school, Elizabethtown, and I realize I'm like it sets in. It's a D3 school. B, I'm not going to the NBA. Okay. So I'm like, shit.
I mean, you're tall enough.
You're like 6'. I'm tall enough, and I'm like, you know what? I got to face the fact, right? So I remember sitting back and thinking to myself at that time, I'm in school. Subpar student. I mean, I have enough of a good grades and SATs to get into Elizabethtown, which is a pretty good school. But I realized that I got to figure out what the hell I'm doing for the rest of my life. And I always had this kind of inkling of I want to be successful. I want to make a lot of money. So I remember at that time it was Yahoo. Google was not even like the main search
Yahoo
engine.
News every morning. Yeah.
So I go, I'm like, who are the richest people? Like, like that's literally like, I'm like,
how do I make that NBA money is what you're like.
So as I look, it's like, it's basically stock market or in finance. That's what I realize.
Okay.
I go back, and at the time I got a part-time job as a telemarketer. So I was telemarketing mortgages as a my senior summer. And at first I didn't even know what the hell a mortgage was, right? It's like I'm a kid and I'm like, what the hell? I'm telemarketing. I realize that people are at 8%. So I'm trying to get them to 6%. I'm making a few bucks, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. But then I get deeper in it, and I'm like, wow, this is like pretty cool business actually. And this is actually the time, this is 2005, 2006.
Okay. And this is right out of
high school.
Okay.
So I'm in my freshman year, I'm in my business class. Yeah. I'm kind of fast forwarding a little bit. And I get an assignment from one of the classes. The assignment, I never forget this because it's like, hey, if you were to start your own, the assignment, start your own business and you're in a group. So I'm like, dude, we're starting a mortgage company.
Yeah.
So the group I'm in, we start a mortgage company, and I do the research. It's super easy at the time. This is like, well, now there's a whole bunch of laws.
Pre-08.
Right? Yeah, pre-08, exactly. So I start this company doing mortgages while I'm in college. That company, I rent space. I was very fortunate. My dad lent me 15 grand, which I needed to start the company. He's my partner. He's like my silent investor. He has no idea how to do any of this stuff, but he's like, I'm your partner. No problem. I'll lend you the money.
Put your little faith in the son.
Yeah, a little expensive equity, but it turned out to be a good investment. And I bring in a couple of my buddies to start working with me in the mortgage company, and we bring in other people. And before I know it, we're killing it. We're crushing.
How many people did you get up to in that company?
I had up to it like one time between like 15 and 18 people. I'm like a 20-year-old kid, right?
I love it.
And so it's a pretty cool story. But as I'm in running that business, ultimately, I'm still kind of trying to go to college. I realize it's not for me, or you know what, this is a great opportunity, because it was a really good time right before 08 that I caught like the last wave of mortgages. And not only that, I learned so much, right? I'm learning now all of the finance as it relates to, because I'm now dealing with also a lot of investors. When I'm in that mortgage company, I'm starting to get different realtors that have investors, they're buying properties, and I'm just very curious. Yeah. What are they doing? What are they buying? Why are they buying this? Oh, there's cash flow. Oh, how many properties does that guy own? Holy crap. So I'm like very curious and just really doing a lot of research on it. So from there, I go and, basically I have a good run with the mortgages till everything I remember like yesterday, everything just collapses. Yep. And that's ultimately my segue into then real estate, as I had a choice. Was I going to stay in the mortgage game, which I realized I wanted to get out of actually. Pretty early, I realized I love the real estate. The more I learned from other investors while I was doing these loans, I was like, holy.
You followed that passion. You're like, look, I like writing the mortgages for these properties, but like, actually, I feel like I would be a better manager of those properties, or owner and developer.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I really took a liking to, and the cash flow. That was really my main goal, was the cash flow.
Get that MBA money.
That's it. Like, how many of these units do I need at this kind of cash flow per month
to be a first round draft pick?
That's it. So I'm like, I'm going to go a different round, right? Different route. But so that's ultimately how I got into being, and I never looked back, right? Once I started working for myself and I took that leap and that path, and I was I was very fortunate. I always say I had the kind of the wind in my back. I got into the mortgage game at the end. I made a few bucks. I took that money. I did the right things, right? Yeah. I invested into some properties as well. And then I got into the real estate game literally like as the markets were completely turned upside down, and I bought properties.
The best time.
Yeah, extremely low in price. So, the wind's been at my back, with a lot of different things. And I've been better. They say better be lucky than good. So I feel like,
I live by that motto.
Yes.
It's not better. I'd rather be lucky than good, right? Like, it's like, I want to be both, right? But like, lucky wins over good every time. It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's kind of the story how I got into owning my own business and never looking back to this day.
So talk about, obviously the first business, the mortgage company, you built it up, 15, 18 people. Talk about like the early days of starting, Liberty Bell Management. Like, what did that look like? Who was involved? Like, talk about like the initial team you needed right away. Like, did you what was your, even the consultants around you? Like, talk a little bit about that, like your early days of starting that.
Yeah, I mean, probably the first 100 units or so, I did on my own. I mean, I was a young kid though. I was, 22, 23 at the time.
Like, my toilet's clogged, Alan, come help type of stuff? Or
I was also, so my dad and I started the company together. Yeah. I probably couldn't have done it without him. Mm-hmm. And he ultimately couldn't have done, the scale that we did together without me.
Your boots on the ground, he's providing you guidance.
Well, he was actually, he knew more about dealing with contractors and dealing with people. Plus, like, who's taking at the time, like, they're like not listening to a 22-year-old kid that doesn't know shit realistically about anything, right? Yep. But I knew the finance. I knew how to kind of research properties. What's a good deal? What's a bad deal? How to comp properties. So I had that. But so the first 100 or so units, we're doing a lot of mistakes. Yep. I'm doing on my own. I then hire one secretary to help me basically field the calls.
For like the property management stuff?
Property management stuff.
Wait. So I just want to make sure people hear this right. So the first 100 units, you were handling all the bullshit. You're handling
literally everything.
Like, my window has a leak. The screen is out. Like, come get me a screen. Like, you were doing all that for 100 units.
I always tell everybody in my company today. I said, I've done every job in this company, so nobody can tell me what's hard or not hard. Yeah, it's different, but I've done every single position. So so the first 100 units. I'm also in the beginning of my real estate career, though. The first 3 years or so, I didn't really go right into buying rentals. I was flipping. So the first year I flipped, I think like 12 properties. Then I flipped like 20.
And these are just like renos, like you're going in buying it.
It progressed, right? Yeah. So with anything, I started, it was like fix a kitchen and put some carpet, like the worst renovation ever. But you sell it, you make like 15 or 20 grand at the time, which was like all the money in the world, right? And then from there, every job just got progressively, tougher, or because you realize the margin. Oh, well, if I change the roof is leaking. People are scared of a leaking roof. Okay, I can buy it for less money, then I can sell it for, a better price once this is all painted and new, whatever. So with every house, it got progressively, more repairs. Oh, I can change the siding. What does that cost? And you start building kind of a Rolodex of understanding how does construction work. Yep. So that was my first 3 years in the real estate space, was really buying, fixing, and selling properties. And then I always, in the back of my mind, wanted to get into rentals, but you do need a little bit of money.
Yeah, it's hard because people think cash flow is crazy on rentals. It's really not. It's like you got to have a lot of them to get that cash flow up to a point where it's like really sustainable.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I always I got a lot of people that ask me, oh, well, how do I get into rentals and how do I make money right away? But no, it doesn't work that easy, right? It's a 5 or 10 year plan, and you really got to have that long-term vision when you own real estate. So that was ultimately, so going back to your question was, in the beginning, I'm just buying, fixing, flipping. We bought a few rentals from the proceeds that we did receive, and it's slowly migrating. I was able to acquire a decent size bundle of properties, which helped. It was about probably 15 or 18 units.
Okay. Across like one,
single,
two,
like single families. Okay. Because I didn't get into actually land development until later.
Yeah.
So that was, once I got past, I always say there's stages. Once I got to 100, it was one point. Once I got then to 250, it was a whole different ball game. And then from 250, where I am today, it's been definitely I would say 250 to 400 to 500 units. And then from now, the 500 mark to 700, 800 units and to 1,000, each stage was incrementally different pain points that you reach as a business owner, and then just in general, the business itself.
So I want to touch on a couple things. So first thing I want to ask you and touch on, which I know a lot of business owners that are starting out, right? It's just them or a person, a friend, a family member, right? Now you hire your secretary, right? Now it's how many people do you have today on your team? Between construct the whole shebang? The whole shebang,
I want to say close to 50, probably less than 50, but very close, probably high 40s.
So I want to talk about that hiring process and building that culture, that team for a second. Sure. So talk about if you got your job offer out, you put out a secretary position, you put out a construction management position, what are you looking for in someone that's coming to you? What are the questions you're asking them? How do you determine whether they're going to be a good fit to help you get to 5,000 units?
Sure.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So it's actually in the Keller Williams book. He says, you hire you hire the first right person and then they're going to hire the rest.
Yep.
I was actually fortunate enough. I mean, I've hired a lot of people, but on the construction side, I was very fortunate to hire some really good people in the beginning who to this day are still with me.
Yep.
And then ultimately on the management side, which was the real key hire. So as I'm going through and I'm building the property management, I'm at 100, 150 units or whatever it was, up to almost 250 units. I'm hiring kind of mediocre players.
Yep.
And I got great advice, right? So you need a superstar. You need somebody that you need the right team, right? In any book you read, it's all about the team that's going to get you where you're going. So, and it was sticker shock to say, like, you know, because you're a young entrepreneur, you're trying to make money, but you're like, holy crap, like, you know, I gotta spend this much money to get this kind of talent, but you do. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm doing it. That's it. And I hired, to this day, who's now my COO. She's been with me, I think it's going to be almost 9 years at this point that she's been with me. But she was kind of like the key addition to help me go from, all right, we're now this mom and pop shop, and we still were for a while, but she helped me kind of groom the company and then create processes,
systems, the whole shebang.
Systems and all these different things that she was way better, right? It's all about, hey, I'm the visionary. You're finding that implementer. She ultimately became the implementer, and she helped me hire then a bunch of other people. And of course, I was in that process as well. You know, in the beginning, of course, of hiring people and making sure it's the right fit. But you got to have the right vision. I always tell people, you got to know, if you want people to work for you, you got to give them a roadmap. Hey, this is where I'm going. This is where I want to go. So they want to follow you, because most people want to be led in that sense. If especially, like, there's different type of people. There's people that are, you know, employees. And there's also the visionaries that are crazy enough to go start a business.
I can relate.
But yes, exactly. So if you want to be that person and you want to run a successful business, you have to be very clear. And you got to be very precise as saying to your team, hey, guys, this is where we're going. This is what I envision. And this is why. Can't just be like, oh, I want to be a rich person. No, there's got to be more to the story, right?
Of course.
And they're going to come follow you with the right purpose and the right vision. So her name is Natalie. So Natalie's been with me.
Shout out to Natalie.
Shout out to Natalie. Natalie's awesome. She's been with me for, like I said, almost 9 years. Literally,
where are you sending her on her 10th year anniversary?
Right. She does like
Natalie, I'm trying to help you out here.
She does love to travel. But from there, so Natalie helped me kind of get the company and spearhead it to, you know, hey, we hired another person and then another person, and some people worked and some people didn't. But she was able to kind of take and own the office part, where I was now kind of freed up to do more things. So it was a great investment. And that was ultimately my process.
You know, I hear, again, one of my mentors told me, said, you got to hire the right people around you. And like, again, I feel like every entrepreneur has to fucking go through this, right? You hear it, they're hearing you say it now, they're hearing me say it, but like the amount of money that I've left on the table by hiring the wrong people is staggering. And I'm sure you can relate. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. In
excess of 7 figures. It's
wild. For sure. Yeah. You hire the wrong person, it's like you take 3 steps back.
It's fucking nuts.
But there's so many different case studies of, you know, you need A players, right? Like these B or C players, like they're okay. They're kind of the worst ones because like they're just good enough, but it's like it's not helping you propel to the next stage or where you want to go. So that's been definitely a huge key, I say, for our company. And we're not the biggest company. We're just a regular company, and we have our own vision. And I always say we're running our own race. We're not competing against anybody.
Just blinders down, man. You look up occasionally, like, whoa, holy shit, another 500 units. Keep going.
Yeah. We've been successful doing that. And we have a great team, great culture. And
what do you do to like help get your staff better? Like, I'm just curious, like, are you doing anything internally? Like, do you do retreats? Like, talk to me about like growing your staff. So you got rock stars. How do you keep them rocking and turn into superstar?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So in the beginning, I tell you, it was tough to do that, right?
No one does that in the beginning. Well, 1 to 10 person companies don't do that. I promise you. It's just not possible.
Yeah. So we've done, and I've done a lot of, I'm very big into personal development. And a lot of entrepreneurs have that kind of, tick, hey, personal development. They want to read the books, they want to learn. And I've been very much on that path for as long as I can remember. So, but it's your job as the owner to also convey that to your team. Because a lot of them, they have different personality types. They're not really thinking that way. But if you show them, hey, you can do this better, or why it matters. So more recently, we've done different books, which some of them hate. So
you read with the team.
We try. We've more or less implemented that. I've been very big on, hey, here's the vision. So I've been doing that for a while.
Yep.
Here's the vision of the company. When I started, that was like probably the hardest thing to write out.
Yep.
Hey, here's a 5-page vision of the next. First, I started was 3 years. I've now broken it down. I just do a year. I do a year vision now. Yep. In the beginning of the year, then I do quarterly. I do quarterly blocks. I say, all right, guys, here's the quarterly.
What we're going to do for the quarter.
Yeah. Here's a sprint for the quarter.
And you just put that in a 1-page doc, or what?
It's actually more. It's probably like 5 pages, but it's broken down by department.
5-page essay you're writing for the team.
Exactly.
I love that.
So as we're approaching now quarter 2, I do a by department. Hey guys, here's what really worked well in quarter 1.
Yep. Here's
where we're going or where we need to go in quarter 2. And it leads back to then the main document of the quote, the 2024 plan or whatever the plan is. But within that, and you get feedback from your head people. Hey, this is really good. So now we do certain classes for our maintenance guys for them to learn different parts of the trade, right? We do the books. We do one-to-one meetings with the staff and figure out, hey, what's working, what's not working.
That obviously, I feel like for people listening that are trying to grow stuff, like the 1 to 10 people, like, yes, you can constantly improve, but you can do it at a bigger scale with the right leader that actually cares at a 10+ person company, right? You can bring classes, you can pay to educate, but the CEO, I call them CEO one-on-ones. Literally, I book them out every Thursday morning for breakfast with my staff at Winnie's here on Main Street. They can count on me for a free breakfast. But I can tell you, I've not only helped grow people, I've helped solve issues. I've helped prevent people that were like not happy and just had a conversation to alter their course right in the organization. There's just that one-on-one and setting it aside and knowing how important that is has helped me be where I am today.
No, 1,000%. It's a game changer if you realize that, they want to be heard, and you can just solve so many problems because if you're able to just get everything on the table, it's just so much easier.
I even say I don't care about titles. I don't care about hierarchy, right? We have flow of information time. Like, hey, this person, if you're doing this person should know, or vice versa, right? But like, I don't care if you're an intern or you're my COO, like, everyone has valid points. And like, as leaders, we have to listen. You have to listen.
Yeah.
You might not like what you hear, but you don't have to react. You can just always nod your head and say, I appreciate you bringing that to me. No, like that is, you have to have that open line of communication.
Yeah. And especially for us, a lot of times we want the feedback from the front line, right? Who's dealing with the tenants.
Those are the visionaries. You need it.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to know kind of what's going on because we can just interpret so many things, but we don't really know exactly what's happening. And sometimes they're scared, they're maybe nervous to say, hey, because they know we might not like the answer, but having that open line of communication is very, very key.
I'm curious about this doc you delivered. Do you give it to the whole organization?
Everybody. So
how does that work? Talk about that, because that's kind of cool. I feel like people listening, I kind of want to do that. Like, I do what you're saying, but I do it with a select group of leaders. But like, I'd love to just hand it to a designer, and be like, by the way, here's what we're doing. Like, I present the goals, like high level goals, but like writing out a 5-paragraph style, like pure thought, like that's impressive.
Yeah. So it's something I started doing, probably like I was always doing the yearly vision probably for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But I really went into this quarterly plan. It's going to be exactly over a year now, and it's done wonders, right? So now through COVID, so we used to be in person. We went now all remote. Well, I mean, we still have an office where people kind of we show up. Certain people come and go, but it's not mandatory. Obviously, the property management staff or maintenance people, they're in the field.
And construction, right?
Construction, yeah. So there are people that are constantly there, but a lot of the team members it's very open, very easy. They can work from home. Everything's virtual, right? So to bring the company together, I realized, holy crap, like I gotta it's a different type of dynamic that we have to do. And I started looking at the company and saying, man, I have to break this down into like chunks to make it better. So that's what I did. I broke the company down into all these different departments, made goals, and step by step, just moved the goals of what we were trying to do to where they, to where they are now. So we had a lot of different issues, right? Especially the last year has been challenging in general. Let's say for development companies and anybody, the rates were going up. I mean, in Philadelphia in general, our taxes went up, our mortgages were getting recasted. Like, oh shit, we went from like a 4% to a 6%. How are we combating all this? And so I'm looking at all these different things and saying like, all right, well, yeah, here's the problem, but here's how we can make a solution in this department. So if we can make these minor adjustments here in this department, that's going to give us X amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of nuance that I realized, wow, this really works, right? So now every quarter I go away and I put together this basically, 4 or 5 page document going into, all right, here's what we're going to continue doing as a goal. And I kind of give a blurb of what worked in each department. I give a blurb of, hey, here's what worked. Here's where we need improvement. Here's where we're going with this. And then here's what we're going to continue doing. Here's what we need to add or implement into what we want to do. Yep. I then will have a meeting with my COO and CFO saying, hey, where are my blind spots?
Yep.
Tell me.
What am I forgetting?
Yeah. What am I forgetting? What do you guys see? We'll go through it, one more time. And then we have an all in person meeting.
Yep.
For the whole team and including all of the senior people that are in the field.
In person or virtual?
That's in person. So we'll all meet in person. We'll do breakfast, lunch, and from there we're going through it. I've given everybody an assignment of whether it's a few questions to think about, how can they improve their department, or something along them lines. What can they bring to the table? Or hey, here's a book that we put into play. Hey, I don't want everybody gets $15. Go buy it. Audible. I don't care how you do it.
Yep.
Listen. Read the book, and then we're going to discuss it and why it's important to the company.
How long you give them to read that book?
The whole quarter.
Okay.
It's a quarter.
You do this every quarter.
I just, to be fair, I just started doing the whole book thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that kind of pans out. But I've taken that from other companies.
Yeah. I love the book thing.
Yeah. So it's good. You're going to get a lot of clash of, because not everybody's thinking that way, right? These books are designed for business owners or whatever. So, this book, we're doing like 5 dysfunctions of a team.
Yeah, that's a great book.
Yeah, it's a great book. And it's kind of an easy one, and it's going to talk about, so I want everybody to come in and say, all right, well,
we're so dysfunctional.
Why are we, or what can we do better? And it really brings the team together, right? There's a lot of great synergy. Of
course.
And
because I can imagine the interactions, like someone that doesn't care as much as the person that does, like, it's just like.
Yeah. And I think as a leader, it's your job too, to be a little bit vulnerable, right? Like you don't have to put this persona, which I did a lot of times in the beginning of saying like, oh, I'm the big boss and I'm okay. Everything's okay. No, you can be a little vulnerable and say, guys, you know what?
We have a problem here.
We got a problem. How do we fix it? We got to come together, and people want to be part of something. And I've just seen our team. It's just everybody's come together. The culture, the energy is high. They understand, and they understand, right? When I put these different documents together, there's actually something tangible that they understand. It's not just like, all right, this yearly plan.
Yep.
We want to build 100 more units, and it's like it's way more than that at this point.
So you can buy his NBA team.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so much more than that, and that was the challenge as you go, especially getting people, because you do feel that way.
And I like to, like, you bring somebody in, it's like, then you have other people like, oh, by the way, like, this is what they gave us for the quarter. Like, this is what we're all working towards right now. So it's like, it acts as a couple different things.
Yeah.
Other question I got for you. So every business right now that is being successful is utilizing technology in some way, right? The businesses that are pen and paper are just, they can't compete. You just can't compete any longer, right? Like, talk about some of the tech that you're using, whether it's I'm talking your what type of email client you're using to CRM, or what system you're using to talk to your tenants. Like, talk about that a little bit. Give some people some insight of some of those systems you're using and what's maybe you've tried and didn't work and and again, there's no sponsorships here. I just
No, from the property management side, it's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great technology that you can buy, and we use Propertyware, which is actually.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. Propertyware?
Yeah, it's like AppFolio. I don't know if you've heard of AppFolio.
Yeah, I know AppFolio.
It's the sister. I think AppFolio might be better, actually. We did it like a while ago before.
That's how I feel with Buildium. I use Buildium for my stuff.
Yeah, that's older. Thing. Yeah, exactly. So. But it works for us. It's a bitch to change. It's really a really tough thing. But so that's pretty simple, and that captures a lot. But we've been using Podio, which is another. Podio's great. It's a CRM, right?
Podio's like customizable. Like, you can build whatever you want.
Yeah. So going back, I got to give a shout out my brother. So he is the one that he finished school for information technology.
Okay.
And he's like, I want to work. So he's been with also the company for like 7 years. Super smart. I'm super lucky that he's on the team. And he also was the one that kind of quarterbacked a lot of the technology. Yep. So our Podio system is like on steroids.
Yeah, of course. You probably have some no one else has.
Yeah. Well, so it's a lot of it, all of that automation, everything that goes in between whether it's tenants sending us like interested in properties or whatever the case may be, to alleviate like, hey, we have to flow through this many leads, or
so it automates a lot of that. Submit your app. Here's this.
Yeah, a lot of it's automation in Podio. It also captures like stages in the development process. Oh, we got the schematics back. You got to contact this person or this person, the civil or whatever the case may be. But we've kind of staged everything and everything's automated. Oh, you got to file now the tax abatement once this is done. Yep. You got to get property insurance once this is done. So it's like a task management.
Yeah, and Podio, for those of you that have never used Podio, I've used it in other businesses. I've tried it in my current business. We don't use it currently in my current business, but other ones I have. It's a customizable platform where you can keep it as simple as you want.
Yes.
Or you can build out custom APIs within it to link with other softwares. It's wild. So and it's actually free. Part of it's free.
Well, and if once you get users, you get a bunch of users, I don't know, but it's not super expensive.
So like a solo guy or gal can take it and like start, keeping track of information there, custom fields, statuses.
So we use it for even property management to manage like different payment agreements, because a lot of the actual software, the Propertyware software, won't allow you to do that. Yep. So we've made it customizable to like Philadelphia real estate and the different nuances that we got to deal with there. It's really good. Listen, there's a bunch of new stuff that comes out. I've kind of went back and forth. It works for us. It might not be the solution maybe when we get to 2,000 units. I don't know. But we're constantly looking at different technology. Obviously, we use a bunch of different other like Slack, which people use. I
love Slack.
I didn't
know you were in Slack. Maybe we can talk.
We could talk, man. but yeah, I don't think anything's kind of just. That would probably be the main one that we use, which is that's how the entire company talks.
My favorite one I have, because there's a handful of people that need to know my organization, like when money comes through the door. So we have a Slack. In Slack specifically, I created a money bot. Okay. So like anytime a payment hits QuickBooks, it goes ching, like it's like
nice.
But it notifies the right people, and it's like money.
Yeah, we have the same thing in Podio. So like anytime a tenant pays, it tells you like who paid, and it's goes right away.
And it puts $1 in escrow for your NBA purchase.
There you go.
Automatically.
Automatic escrow. I'm coming. I'm coming for the team. But yeah, so. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything kind of out of the box, but Podio would probably be the number one thing that we've been using for now several years, and we've kind of expanded upon it, and there's different extensions that you can just keep adding.
Cool. Talk about you a little bit. How do you get better? What do you, obviously reading's always one thing, but like what other habits or things around you are you doing to keep elevating yourself as CEO, owner, operator?
Yeah, so man, probably like, I want to say 5, 6 years ago at this point, I'm hitting like a wall of, I understand where I want to go with the company.
Yep.
I had this whole big vision and what I want to do. And I was a young father at the time. I have 3 girls, but my kids were very young, and I'm working like crazy. And I realized, and I'm like, I finished a year of college. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I have no clue what the hell I'm doing, right? what am I doing, right? Where am I going? And I was kind of like moving aimlessly, I felt like. So I've been very fortunate. I've been part of a couple masterminds that helped me a lot, which then led me to some, like you could say, CEO coaching.
Okay.
So I have some great mentors that have helped me through the years. Some I still have. Some have, since they're not with me, but overall, I think having the right mentors is key. Yep. I still have some great mentors. I speak to some of them biweekly, speak to some of them, monthly.
How many coaches you have around you?
So I would say I have one main like coach, you could say, that I basically bounce everything off. You could say he's my like chairman of the board, right?
Yeah.
So it's another thing I do, right? On a quarterly basis, I'll write a letter to my coach as a chairman saying like, hey, if he was my investor or whatever you want to say, here's what worked, here's what didn't work. And then
you pair that with your goals, things like that.
It's kind of all intertwined, right?
Love that.
And then I'm part of it's a local, but it's a huge community. It's called Vistage. So I'm in Vistage. I joined that. It's been like, let's say 2 or 3 years at this point. The guy that runs my particular group, there's different guys that run different group or different girls, whatever. But it's his name is Joe. Joe is freaking awesome. He's a great entrepreneur, and he's been vital to help me kind of the last few years, because I was in a kind of a plateau, I felt like. So he really helped me kind of get to the next stage. Being around and then just talking to other entrepreneurs. Hey, what's working for you? What's not working? That's kind of just been my process.
That's awesome. Yeah. And talk a little bit about, so you mentioned you had 3 daughters, work-life balance a little bit. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, like you feel like you're always on, right? You're 18 hours, 20, like we've all had those days, right? Like I put in a 15-hour day yesterday. I was like, what the hell am I doing? I haven't had to do this in a hot minute. But like it happens, right? Like how do you balance like work life? How do you balance those other pillars in your life of, relationships, family, your spirituality? Like talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
you pull yourself away.
Yeah, no, it's so like life in general, you have all these different areas. They break it down to 6 or 7 areas. You have the faith, you have business, you have family, you have your health, you have these different areas of your life, and it's tough to find balance with it all, right? Yeah. If you're hyper focused here, you're down over there. Something's given, right? But I think that's where, me going back over the years, like getting clarity is key, right? Understanding that, hey, whoa, because in the beginning, you don't even realize you're just being pulled in all these different directions and you're just flowing with the wind, right? Where if you have clarity and an understanding, all right, well, here are the different areas of my life, and, slowing down and understanding, all right, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And that's kind of where I was probably 5-6 years ago. And the coach helped me out with that. And from there, I'm saying, all right, well, if I want to work this many hours, I got to be better organized, because it all comes back to you. And a lot of it really becomes you do things that like you enjoy. And the same thing with your team. It's like a magnet, right? Story about me. I love being in the field. I love just going to sites. Doing nothing, just looking at shit.
Wow, that's a big hole in the ground.
Yeah, like just driving around, doing nothing, but I enjoyed it, right? Yeah. And it's cool to do that like once a week, but I'm doing this freaking every day, and then I'm realizing, what the hell do I have no time? So
just sitting in your car looking at
yeah. I'm going like looking at the framed house or and. You put the different processes in place to kind of combat, all right, I probably can get better use out of my time doing X, instead of doing Y.
Working on your quarterly report that week versus staring at, 3 framers hanging off the front of the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really understanding that, but it really comes down. I always say your team does the same thing. And that's why you got to give them a real purpose, because they're going to ultimately, like a magnet, just do what they want to do if you don't give them direction.
Yep. What is Alan doing in a decade from now? Or 5 years? However far out? Like, next week,
So I can give you even a little further.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal, I'm 37.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very fortunate and I'm very happy where I'm at. My goal for the company is to get to 5,000 units.
Yep.
Now doing it the right way, and I have different parameters about how I'm getting there, or what does that even mean? Because the 5,000, it's really the journey. So it's a certain amount of money that I have as, you could say legacy, or for my kids, for my family,
your grandkids will be.
Yeah, and it's also having the units and having the right management and it being managed effectively, but also making a change, right? What we're doing is very, I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it, and we're making a real change, and the team loves it, right? So we're going in and we're the first developers in certain areas.
I mean, I know too, like I know what you're doing. It's impressive the areas that you're doing it and the difference you're making to your tenants and the people that are buying your houses or renting your place.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I call it like raising the standard, right? Like, so really my company's motto, but like you're helping elevate people's quality and standard of life in the areas that you're doing it. It's impressive. I mean,
yeah. So, that's part of it. And then, I have my own spiritual and, as a father. But yeah, I think I just take it one day at a time, all in all, but that's kind of from the company vision of where we want to go. And then I have my own personal goals. But that's, I'm a pretty simple dude.
Yeah. You going to be a coach someday for somebody else, you feel like?
It's possible. I feel
like I'm being coached right now in a good way.
Well, I've had a lot of coaching, and I think I can offer. And again, I've done a little bit of it, but I'm just not ready to give my time for my company. So it's a big commitment. But yeah, I think ultimately I would love, I enjoy mentoring and I enjoy kind of helping people, and I'm an open book when it comes to how I've done my business. There's really nothing to hide, right? There's really nothing to hide. So I have no problem.
Let's talk about yourself. If you go back a decade ago and tell your 27-year-old self, or shit, even your 18-year-old self, some of the things today. What are those most important pieces that you feel like you'd want to tell yourself 2 decades ago or a decade ago?
Buy all the land you can.
Buy everything west of the Schuylkill. No.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, that's true.
That's true. But yeah, I think, if I went back, I think hiring more A players sooner, I think is probably one of the keys. Having even a bigger vision than I had at the time would have been better. Because I feel like I got into the land development a little later.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have got into it, few years earlier, would have been that much better. And then again, I'm kind of being greedy here. I'm very happy and fortunate where I am and where I got. But if I went back, having a bigger vision could have been better, right?
Yep.
And getting to it a little quicker. But overall, that would be the 2 main points.
That's good. What's something you tell yourself every week or every day to because obviously things get tough, right? Like what does it for you to keep going? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs, that's like one of the things I see a lot is like someone starts a business, like there's something missing, whether it's a passion or something. Like, what do you tell yourself when shit gets tough or you have an issue?
I would say, well, that's where your real vision comes in, right? And it's not I used to be a lot like that and saying, oh my God, what a shitty month, or what a shitty week. What a shitty day. This happened. Oh my God, I lost so much money. Mm-hmm. But going back and saying, well, you know what? Like, it's so much bigger than today or this week or this month or even this quarter. This is my long-term plan, and I'm going there. So you can't be very short. It's very easy to be short-sighted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where my head's at. When things go bad, and I've had a lot of shit go bad too, don't get me wrong. And it sucks.
Yep.
But it's having the mental acuity to be like, well, you know what? Hold on. There's so much bigger of picture. Am I going to let this one little thing or this thing stop me? No. I'm on this major path or this major journey. This is where I'm going. I'm not. No, I'm not going to let this stop me. So that's kind of the main kicker in it. And sometimes we've had shitty quarters or shitty months, and crazy expenses, but we bounce back.
Love it. Alan, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. The amount of knowledge you just threw on all of us is impressive. Your journey so far has been impressive. I'm excited to have you back when you at least hit 2,000 units. We'll wait till then.
Awesome.
Because I want to hear what that looks like.
I gotta get some more units.
You gotta get going. You gotta get started here. But again, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. All right.